The evacuation of Lakeview. We were open the Saturday before the storm. I did not take it very seriously that a hurricane was coming up. For my entire life I've heard that hurricanes are coming and then it's going to destroy the city, and I've never believed that. I always thought that that was just some sort of fear-mongering brought on by the press.
So before Katrina, like when we first heard it was heading our way, we really weren't too concerned. Typically our policy with the hurricanes, we just ride them out. And that day, we realized we weren't going to ride out this one. And it wasn't that it was that threatening, nothing more than we were really used to, but just we're going to evacuate anyway. It's a smart thing to do.
Bruce called me and told me that I couldn't force to have any of my employees here. So I had to let them all go. So I told them that whoever wanted to leave could leave, and whoever wanted to stay with me could stay with me. And Bruce said that if I wanted to deliver pizzas and 150-mile-an-hour winds, that I was allowed to, but that he would suggest that I leave the city.
We just shut down everything. We tied it up as much as we can, put ice on everything, and just got everything clean, just expecting to be down for a day or two at the most.
So I was actually there up until Sunday night, about 10 o'clock, and I figured if I was real close to the store that I'd be able to watch over it and whatnot. And my plan was that if the water actually did come up, that I would break into Reginelli's and eat all the cans of artichokes and red peppers. I didn't really think that the water would go above the level of the shelving that had the artichokes and the red peppers.
My mom gave me a phone call, and she said, just take anything that you can't live without. So I brought one pair of underwear and one pair of socks and my guitar. And we went to across the lake, Covington, and then we evacuated to Baton Rouge for the storm. And that was pretty much it. Then we saw the horrific videos on television, and we just waited until we can come back.
The only store that suffered any damage was my store, the Lakeview store, the one I had been running at the time. But I thought at worst we'd get maybe 2 or 3 inches of water in the store, not 8, 9 feet or whatever we wound up having in the store.
I did come see the store after the storm. I didn't go inside. I kind of drove by and looked from the outside. Really, the truth of it was that between my family and my husband's family, we had so many houses that were damaged. We knew what it would look like. We kind of, we got it. The furniture is everywhere, and this is where you never expected it was going to be. And there's only so much of that you really want to see.
At this point, we wanted to pause the video a little bit. I think you started to see from Lisa, the last comment there, she starts to feel it a little bit. But it's not something that we ever talk about. We don't talk about Katrina. We don't sit around and reminisce and feel sorry for ourselves. But they're all laughing and smiling, talking about evacuating and stuff. And I just want you guys to appreciate that it was bad. I'll tell you for myself, when I came back to the city about a week after the storm, I had to wait. The National Guard had closed the parish line. So I spent the night in my car trying to get back in. Business owners, you could talk your way through the National Guard and back into the city, so that's what I did. And I went to my neighborhood where I lived, which at the time when I got back was still a lake, like you saw on one of those pictures. The city was completely dark. There wasn't a whole lot of people around. Sometimes you wouldn't see people all day long. And the cell phones didn't work. There was no power. It's flooded, so the plumbing doesn't work. And I don't know if you can imagine your city or your hometown with no people. And it's dark, and you're there, and there's nothing to eat. There's no place to go, and it's pretty eerie.
And I came back. First store I went to was our Kenner location. It's out in kind of outside of New Orleans. It was accessible. So I went there and I pulled up, and it was a really eerie feeling. It's everything's vacant. I pulled up to the parking lot, which is vast. There's not a car in it. I pulled up, and I remember unlocking the door, and I opened the door, and the AC was running. The alarm started beeping. I went to the panel, turned it off. I walked around, and it was a real creepy feeling. It was like I just locked up, and I was opening up for the morning, like nothing happened. It was unexpected. But then as you kind of moved along and started to explore inside the store, there were more problems than that. And You can't imagine the smell of the refrigeration and just the problems of the food and spoilage. So I sat in one of the booths in the restaurant, and I don't know what I was really even thinking. I just didn't have much going through my head, and I sat there for an hour or so. And over the course of however long I was there, a couple of people started showing up. And it ended up being 3 or 4 of us sitting around and talking about, where we had gone and who was where and have you seen so-and-so. And it was weird. It progressed into walking around the store, and people started filling the triple sinks, running a dishwasher, cleaning things, throwing things out. And again, it was something that was never asked of them. It started to progress. We started cleaning up. And over the course of about 3 days, it took us, we cleaned up, and the store was ready to go.